So this Shabbat is a special Shabbat. Every Shabbat is a special Shabbat, but this one especially. This Shabbat is called Shabbat Parah, which means cow Shabbats. But not just any old normal moo cow. It's Shabbat Parah for, this is going to be weird, but it's going to be okay, all right? All right. It's Shabbat when, in ancient days, it's the Shabbat of the red heifer, this special cow that was unblemished with all red hair that was used for a special ritual that was done on Passover. That's the weird part. Now we're going to make it okay. This is the Shabbat when we begin to prepare for Pesach. We begin to prepare for Passover. And you might think that you were supposed to begin preparing for Passover a month and a half ago when at Stop and Shop they put the Passover stuff out and I had a heart attack, but this is when we start to prepare. So maybe it's like you don't buy another thing of goldfish till you finish the old goldfish. You realize all the extra burekas you bought for the Super Bowl that are in the freezer, and it's really time to eat them because you got to make space for the brisket. So you're going to be having burekas for snack for the next 3 weeks. That's not your family, that's just my family? Okay, sorry. If you want some burekas, come on over. It's the Shabbat when we start to get ready for this holiday, because this holiday, like all of our holidays, it doesn't work to just jump right in. Just like Yom Kippur, you can't jump right into Yom Kippur. There's work. There's work that gets us ready to get to that moment. So what then do we need to prepare for? What's Passover for? What work do we need to do to get ready for the holiday? That's not just the sweep up the crumbs and buy the shmura matzah that Grandpa likes. And the fruits, I don't like the fruit slice. If you like the fruit slices, come, I'll bring you my extra fruit slices at the end of the holiday. There's an article that was written a couple of years ago by Yossi Klein Halevi, who's a Hartman scholar. So those of you who have been doing the iEngage program, you've encountered Yossi in a number of settings, and even if you're not, if you're in the Jewish podcast sphere and reading stuff coming out of Israel, you've encountered Yossi. He wrote this powerful article about Purim Jews and Passover Jews. Purim Jews, he says, are the ones who are attentive to the risks that are inflicted upon us by the outside world, attentive to the reality of anti-Semitism, and ready to be stalwart and to fight against it. And Pesach Jews, he says, Passover Jews, he says, are those who work to turn their attention to empathy for the vulnerable in their community and in the world around us. And he says we have to hold those two in tension and in balance with one another. And this Shabbat is a perfect moment where we see the Purim story. We see that sometimes the world can be unkind. And sometimes we know that it's our job to maintain the strength and resilience to care for our people. And we know that the story can't end there. We take the Purim story, we take our Purim Jewishness, and on Shabbat Parah start to soften the heart, to turn the heart to empathy, to seeing the vulnerability and the sorrow, the suffering in the world around us, to turn our hearts towards empathy on our walk down the roads towards the sea together. Passover is a great holiday. It's got good stories and songs, and maybe you're a family that takes scallions and hits each other with them. And if you don't come ask me at Oneg, I'll tell you all about it. Everyone smells like onions at the end. It's great. And there is deep beauty in this holiday of the message that it tries to teach us, the spiritual resilience that it offers to us once we've gotten through those 7 or 8 days. So, what do you need to do? What do you need this year to get yourself ready for Passover? What do you need to open your heart to more empathy, to see what's happening in the world around you? What do you need? What resources do you need to prepare yourself for the real work that the Passover story asks of us? Part of my hope is that you find some of that work here, not from the nonsense the rabbi talks about on the bima, but from what we do at Oneg, the conversations you have with one another, the ways that we strengthen and support each other, with the wisdom and the genius of the relationships that we find, so how we can build networks of care and dedication to each other and the world around us. But whatever we do, whatever we need, this is the time to begin to prepare. So let's get to work.